guys. So, hello everyone. Pleasure to meet some of you again, some of new faces. Always a pleasure to come here to the LAC. And well, we are doing this workshop. It's not exactly a workshop, it's a bit of a workshop, a bit of a presentation. And it has a big title, so Origins, Futures, and Roadmap of the Module. But basically we are laying down lots of information at the same time, from the use to our plans. And so the agenda here, we talk about the origin, make a quick tech overview, current status, challenges that we've been through, use case and demo that Jeremy is going to do, tell you guys how you can tinker with the Duo, and the roadmap. And of course, a Q&A in the end. So very quick on the origin, for those who don't know yet. So we started this quite some years ago in 2010. And scenarios, lots of standalone devices. This can quickly build up to unusable things. On the other hand, you have the computer today. Everyone here in the Linux audio uses a lot of computer, of course. But in a room like this is very beautiful, but the computer, when you try to take it to the stage, can become something like that, or like that, and we don't want that. So what we did is a single device that replaces the computer. This is the overall idea, okay? The device, it's meant for any instrument, any musician, all kinds of occasions, and a lot of software to run inside it. A very user-friendly graphical interface. It's a remote one, the UI. Most of the people know it now. And the Jean-Monnet plugin store. We're going to talk a bit about it today. It's open to third parties, and today it's just for open source, but we are going commercial. On the next semester, we're going to talk about it. And in the end, what we're doing today, when we talk about the Duo, we say it's a computer for live audio performance. It's not an audio effects unit, it's not a multi-effects pedal, it's actually a computer. It has the form factor of the standalone devices, but it has the functionality of a computer. Just a quick timeline regarding the LAC. So in 2013, in the grass, I don't know if I wrote it right.
I corrected it.
Oh, thank you. we were, Bruno and Leo came here with the Mod Quadra prototype. It wasn't the final model yet. The end of that year, we released the Quadra, and in the Karlsruhe LAC, I came here with the Quadra, already the production model, and with the prototype for the Duo. We pre-announced the Kickstarter campaign that we did in 2014 for the Duo. Quick information about the Quadra. We released it in Brazil, only like 30 units. Collected a lot of feedback, and this is how the Duo came along. It's this smaller unit that we have here. We can pass it along. We have one here also turned on. It's the result of a crowdfunding campaign, and it's the first mass-produced product that we did. We finished the campaign in October 2014. Raised at 75 grand, almost 80 grand. The entire year of 2015 was a nightmare of development. We went through development of the die-cast enclosure, the boards. We moved it from São Paulo, Brazil to Berlin. And in February last year, we started shipping the Kickstarter units. We did in very small batches. We did all the assembly in our offices in Berlin. We reached this year the 500 unit that we sold from the Duo. And we are moving to now another level in terms of production and marketing. For those who are familiar with the technology adoption curve, so we were here in Kickstarter, innovators, and now we are going through the so-called chasm, and we are trying to find the early adopters. So when we think guitars and etc., we always think the guitar player with the tube amplifier, but this guy is here, and we are not targeting these guys yet. We have a profile of a buyer today, or customer, is the people that we call the sound designers. It's not exactly a programmer, but it's not just a musician. It's a guy who is very geeky on the effects and likes to go deep on that. From making pedal boards, or using pure data, using Faust or Max MSP on the side of the non-open software. We are coming out with some Max MSP integrations. I'm going to talk about it. And in the present time, what we have is our shift from R&D to marketing. So until all the times we were at the LAC, we presented ourselves as an R&D company, on the sense that we were still developing. And last year we changed it from the R&D to retail, to marketing, and this is changing a lot how the company works. We are doing a lot of bootstrapping and fundraising. We are consolidating finally in Germany. When we presented in 2014, we were consolidating in the US for the Kickstarter, and when we did the move to Germany, we are now consolidating as a company there. And this leads us to the Mod Open Source Committee. And we're not going to go deep on this today now, but I want to talk to the interested people. With everything that's happening with us today, we feel that the relation to the community and with you guys, it's very deep. But on the other hand, it's not structured. And I want to come with the structure to communicate with the community on an official way. When I talk from like a bootstrapping and fundraising, people are coming to us with the most different approaches. People wanting to buy the company, people wanting to license the software, people wanting to put money to see us growing. All the kinds of cards are on the table. And we are internally very worried on how this fundraising is going to affect our relation to the community. Because a lot of what we do is tightly related to the community. So we're going to launch this open source committee. It's going to be an official interface between the Linux audio community and us. Why we want to do it? Because of licensing, because of technical developments, because of donations that we want to do and how to do the financing. And also the plugin store, how we are going to handle it, because it's just open source today. We want to make the closed source. Then we want to sell open source software, and we don't have that figured out. So we want to have an official channel with the community to sort this out, and this is going to be via the Mod Open Source Committee. I don't want to discuss this thing on the committee now. We are going to talk about the Duo now. But what I want to do is to get the people who are interested in participating with this and talk to me during the event here. I'm open to that, and actually I'm here on the LAC this year especially for that, to talk about that, okay? Technical overview, Filipe?
Just to explain a little bit of what's inside the box instead of speaking about technical details. The initial thing that we have is a bare bones Linux installation, a custom build. It's actually based on build root, so people here know what it is. You specifically tune your own system for a specific device, so it gets optimized as much as possible. We have 3 partitions in there. It runs on a NAND flash memory-based. It's a flash memory inside. There's the recovery in case something goes wrong, so the user can reinstall everything. The system partition, which contains the actual software and some reserved plugins. And user data that users can dump sound files there and plugins and whatever they save and install later on. We're currently running the Linux 3.4 kernel. I know it's a bit old, we'll get to that soon. For the recovery partition, we don't use a real-time one to be on the safe side. We also use systemd for managing all the services and the booting process and make sure everything is synchronized and that's synced, the loading is async, etc. On the user side, we use Jack2 for the auto server, running at 48K of sample rate, 1.8 buffer size, and 2 queries per buffer. Yeah. The main applications that run inside the units are the mod host, which is the host that runs the plugins. Then it communicates via a socket to the mod UI, which is also a web server. So when you connect to mods, you get a network interface, and the web server provides a web page. So everything that happens on the mod you can see on your own computer via web browser on a specific web page. Then we made some small utilities to handle all the specific bits we need for the unit, for the peak meter, For handling the serial MIDI, we had to fork some other code that already existed to handle some special devices, and that's it. Oops. This one, Jim, please.
Oh, this is an overview of how the system is organized. So we have the device here, audio sources, how they come in. It's just a block diagram to have an idea of how the things are connecting to each other. Actually, I'm more interested in this one. This is our audio path. People from the forum are used to this already. I fixed it this, Harry. It's fixed now. And as I showed in the beginning, it's meant to connect to any device and to connect to any device. So we have different preamplifiers on the input. The blue ones is the analog part. It's a hybrid device. Then we go into the codec. There's also some amplification there. DSP, some Bose amplifications. You have a separate headphone output, but from the same DA, and the balancing post amplifier for that. The idea here is to connect any kind of device on the inputs, of course, and to connect to any kind of input on the output here, even balance it if necessary.
For those that know a bit more about software, not so much about hardware, this is actually what's running inside the unit every time, at least on the current release. We have the system ports here and there, which is the normal ones for jack. We always have the mod peak meter running. The first two ports are connected to the inputs, and the other ones are connected to a monitor client, so that we want to monitor what's going on to the output. We don't want to connect to every single client that is in here, so we create sort of like a meta client. Every client connects to this one, and then it goes to the playback and it goes to the peak meters as well. You have the TTE MIDI, which is the client that does the serial MIDI, and the mod host to handle the MIDI CC and MIDI programs that come that change the states globally. And this is the actual pedal effects. Every effect inside the unit runs as a separate jack client. What happens here, contrary to usually on the desktops, is that every client runs as internal. There's no external clients here at all internal clients. So everything runs as fast as possible. There's no context switches because everything is in the same process. Next one. I'm going to talk a little bit about the release history of the mod. We did the initial release in February of last year, which was very important because we had to settle on the data partition. It had to be defined. Right now we have the three partitions: the recovery, the system, and the user data. The recovery is around 32 megabytes. Then we have the system around 500, and the rest, which is 3.4, something like that, gigabytes. It's for whatever the user wants to do with it. We had to define that specifically because after we shipped units, we could not change it anymore again. So there was quite some planning to go to that point. Like, we had to make sure user can update as well without breaking, because after this point we cannot change things. Whatever is defined stays that way. So after that it was constant developments and fixing and optimizing. In here we have almost everything from the Quadra working on the Duo already. Then we started porting what was left over. For example, the LEDs, which is new from the Duo. We made the interface Firefox compatible because at the point that Quadra was made, I guess Firefox was not totally up to date compared to Chromium in terms of web standards, but I want compatible to Firefox. Then we went to the default pedal boards so that when the mod boots or when you clear everything, you define wherever state is the default, is the empty one, which is a tip from Harry, if I remember correctly. We allowed JavaScript on the mod key so it can do fancy stuff as well. Then we did plugin presets, which at the time was a new thing in LV2, because we separated factory presets that come with the plugin and user presets that user makes. The user presets are deletable, the factory presets are always there. And at this point we fixed one big issue we had with X-Runs, but more on that a bit soon. On the 1.0, this was a very important update because we started shipping a lot more units from this point. We wanted to make sure that users can automatically update and not have to copy one file manually, that everything goes through the web interface. And even still, some users are not updating. That happens. And we added the remote loading pedal boards, maybe, but we'll show soon. We have a website, the pedalboards.moddevice.com, that contain pedal boards, like setups of what people did and what they shared. So you can go there and you can click try and it loads. Because when you're doing something in the unit, sometimes you want to share it because you think it's cool. So you upload to our service, and you have, better not click it now because sharing has a thing loaded. If you click try now, it sends a comment to the mod, actually to the browser and then to the mod, and it receives the things from the clouds and it loads this exact setup into the unit. Yeah, then we started perfecting everything. Bluetooth internet, so you go wireless, don't have to use a USB cable. The connection is not as fast because it's Bluetooth, but still good enough, it's workable. We started adding support for control outputs, so you can have meters, you can have things that move in the canvas. Yeah. Then we added the tuner back as well. You can check soon. If you press the second knob down, we have a tuner in the actual device, so you can tune your guitar and it tells you if you're good or not. Then we added favorites, the plugin favorites, which it needs to be there. Our plugin started to grow. I think now we have around 200. If you have everything installed, it gets a little bit messy to just look for a specific plugin. So we added favorites. We have the tap tempo, specific to the mod unit for now. So as you press with the tap, it sends a value, and then the parameter changes. The last one we did, stable one, we added the pedal board presets, which is like a scene in the pedal board view. You change the entire setup, and then you tweak all the parameters and you change that as a preset. Then with a single click, you can change the entire scene. And the clickless bypass, to when you enable or disable the plugin, it does not click at all. The current status we have now, the current release, is going to be out soon. We're focusing on the control chain, which is, we have a foot switch.
Yes. Yeah. This is our foot switch. It's we released it like 1.5 months ago. We were very, we didn't know exactly how to launch it because the launch of the Duo was so much of a headache on the terms of doing the deploy and the roll-off. And so we decided that for next devices that we do, we are going to do beta batches. We sell this internally only for the community at almost cost price, and it's a beta, an official beta, on the sense that the hardware might change, and the software, of course, will change. But it's a way for us to involve the community again in what we are doing, and this is in the end seems to be the fastest way to get a proper product in hand, because one cannot have too many testers. So that seems to be the thing. These are some people here, like Harry has one already, and by July I think we are shipping the official ones, the stable ones. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. At the same time, we started testing with the network manager inside the unit, because why not? We already have a USB cable through it and a network interface also. So you can send your sounds via USB to the device if you know a little bit of the command line. We already started developing the upcoming features, because the control chain now is mostly just testing, getting feedback, and fixing those features. So yeah. Challenges. let's speak about the challenges here a little bit. Because we had to do our own distro in a way. Because if you try to go with a generic one, things are not optimized at all. And for one device like this, because it's always the same system, it's always the same CPU, always the same hardware, we want to make sure everything is optimized because we only have to optimize for one specific unit. That means we cannot update things via apt-get. Every time we want to push an update, we have to do everything ourselves. If something does not work, we have to patch it ourselves. We have to handle all the software ourselves. Yeah, that's just how it is. We also have to cross-compile everything because that's not the normal Intel CPU, that's an ARM one. So sometimes you want to try a new software, and that software depends on some libraries. You have to compile all the libraries, then compile all the software, then push it there and finally test it to see if it works at all. But yeah, debugging inside the unit is also very slow. Vol grinds on ARM, it's don't try it if you can. Sometimes there's issues that happen only when we run things optimized. If you try to run in GDB, things don't run as fast as possible, and because the device's ARM is not that powerful, you usually cannot test directly on the same conditions. Like we have to increase the buffer size to allow the code to run on the GDB, but then it's not exactly the same condition that triggers the crash. So sometimes debugging can be a little bit slow, but nothing we can do that. Just keep trying. Also dealing with Chinese code because the board is from China, the CPU. That's why we're using the 3.4 kernel. That's Alwiner. Yeah. They forked the 3.4 kernel some time ago, and they did not keep up with mainline at all. So we have to use that specific version to work with that specific CPU. Hopefully we'll move to mainline, but there's a lot of stuff involved in there. And also the real-time patch, and also the audio driver, and all the specific bits we need to change a lot of stuff to make it work with mainline. There's specific hacks in there just to deal with China-related code problems. I can give one example that the device allows you to plug into the computer to provide a network interface. When you remove the device, we were trying to delete the kernel module so we can be freed and used with something else, but you get a kernel panic if you do that. We have a mode for recovery, which is the USB mass storage, which is also through the same port. So the first time that you register that device, you cannot remove it and then register the other nodes. You cannot have internet driver first, remove that internet driver, do the mass storage. No, it just crashes everywhere. But so the recovery mode triggers the USB mass storage, and the normal operating system uses the network interface. And that's how it is for now. But for now it works. So.
In terms of challenges also, the board layout, we're still actually working a bit on that, but was our biggest nightmare to get a proper board that had an acceptable noise levels and etc. And most important of everything, the production from China. Since we started presenting the mod here at the LAC, people have been inspired to also try to do something. And I can tell this from our history, don't go to China. Seriously, don't go there. It's such a, when you have a startup like ours, the amount of resources that you have is so small, and headaches take too much of your resources. And working with China for companies like in our size, in our kind of product, it's really a no-go. We had one of the factories was closed down for environmental reasons quite recently. We had to change the production of the die cast, so we are moving to another place now. We even considered bringing the production, even of the, we do everything in Germany apart from the metallurgy. And we considered even bringing the metallurgy to Germany or another place in Europe just because of the headaches, because this takes out all the energy that you need to actually keep moving. It's better to pay a bit more and just have it done. And later on, when we have scale, if we get successful, then okay, we go to China when we have scale for that. But seriously, don't start a company, go to China.
Filipe, one question about the previous slide. So when you say reading with China code, this is about kernel drivers written by Chinese developers?
Yes.
And they made it into the mainstream kernel somehow bypassing?
They forked the kernel. That's why we're using 3.4, because it's not the mainline one.
Okay.
We cannot update it until the mainline gets everything there, or we get to try to do it ourselves, which could be a pain. And the mainline kernel is not actually caring too much about this specific CPU, because right now it's a bit old. We have to make all the tests ourselves and make all the changes that we're going to need ourselves. Eventually we're going to do that. We're just finishing a few more features, and then the system gets kind of stabilized. Then we go for like a 2.0 with mainline and, well, refreshing and updating everything, hopefully.
So that code would never have made it past the holy penguin P.
No. With Chinese comments everywhere and nice.
Yes. So fix here, break there.
Yeah, there are some cases that we fix something, then it gets break somewhere else, and like we asked Robin to do some things for us, and Robin then said, no, not again. I don't want to do this.
We are people ask us a lot about the latency, and today we are using 128 samples. This results in a 5 millisecond latency. And of course we want to go lower than that, but we won't touch the drivers until we go mainline, because it's really it's a waste of money. Now Jeremy here.
Yeah.
To do the presentation.
Going to take over. My name is Jeremy. I'm kind of, I think I can consider myself a lag regular by this time. I met Gian and Bruno in Graz.
No, Leo, I wasn't. We met at Coelho.
Yeah, but the year before there was Bruno and
Leo.
yeah. And they showed me the Quadra, and they borrowed my guitar for a presentation. And then the next year there was Gian, and I got more involved. And in the end, I'm now helping them out. I'm helping out Mod with their servers. I maintain their servers, and I'm a beta tester, and I give critical feedback on all kinds.
It's very important. Very important.
Yeah, sometimes it's very important feedback.
And you share some wicked pedal boards also.
Yeah, I try to do my best of sharing nice pedal boards. And that's what I wanted to focus on this part. As I am an end user, so I wanted to discuss some use cases of the Mod Duo. Because the Mod Duo doesn't just process audio, it also processes MIDI. There are 2 MIDI ports on the back, one in and one out, and you can so you can not just only process audio but also MIDI. And when I say processing MIDI, and you could even use it as some kind of MIDI bridge box to other MIDI devices, because there's there's basically a shitload of MIDI plugins on there. So you have MIDI chord plugins with which you can enter one note and it will process it in some scale, and you will get like 5 notes out or 3, whatever you want. You can scale notes down. You can filter events like program changes or control messages, and do all that kind of stuff with Duo also. And when it comes to audio, it's got 2 audio inputs, and you can put anything in there, from electric guitars to electroacoustic guitars to vocal. There are people that are using wind instruments or instruments that are mic'd or amplified in some other way, and you can insert it into Mod, and you can do whatever you want with it with all the plugins that are available.
I'm just wondering, your OQ Tractor hack, 1 input voice, 1 input guitar, vocoding, is that possible?
Yeah, you can vocode with because there are some vocoder plugins on the Mod Duo available in the plugin store. So I already gave a little hint of what you can do because there are people who have different workflows. Some people are more conservative, like I am. You know, I'm using a conventional instrument and vocals, and I insert it. It passes through the mod, and I do all kinds of stuff with it. And but like I said, you could also use it as a MIDI box or a MIDI module. In a sense, you can filter all kinds of events. You can also use it as a MIDI module that produces sound, so like a sound MIDI module. You know, you have these EuroRec installations that are gaining popularity right now. If you want to, you can also stick a mod in there, and it doesn't go with CD though, but I think there are some solutions to change MIDI messages to CD. And then you could use it as a synth module because there are some very nice synth plugins on there, like Synth Effects. I don't know if Mark McCurry is here, he's not here. And some other, that one is still unstable because Synth Effects needs a lot of CPU, so we're working on that. But there are some other very nice plugins in there, electric pianos, synthesizers from that have been ported from NDA, which is pretty well-known plugin builder. But apart from that, from using it as a synth module, you could also use it as a drum machine because there are some sample packs on the Mod Duo even from sampled real drums, so drum kits, and you can for example, with a sequencer or with a MIDI controller that has pads on there, you can play drums if you want to. It's also a sampler because there are plugins on there that allow you to create loops and overdub these loops. So you could do like these Tash Sultana kind of things. I think anybody knows Tash Sultana? It's an Australian artist, and she's like in Holland we call it Nicola Nelis. So someone who yeah, there's some Dutch folks in the room, which is basically someone who is doing all the instruments herself at the same moment. So she has programmed her drums, she's playing guitar, which is being processed by some kind of effect unit, and she triggers all the beats and sequences herself, and by that way she creates complete new songs. And that's very well possible with the mod. Because it is a sampler, a drum machine, a synth module, and also a conventional effects unit, like I said, all of the above at once.
Could you also play a drum kit via guitar and pitch to MIDI note conversion?
There is no note conversion plugin yet, as far as I know. Is that right?
We tried one, but it was very CPU intensive and lots of latency using the all-bio. But what we use today a lot of is the external converters, like the Sonos one, which is monophonic, and I just bought a guitar with the triple play from Fishman. It's one of those new MIDI pickups, works like a charm. It's even wireless, just a dongle that you plug on the back of the Duo and that's it.
Okay, now I'm going to show you some aspects of the Mod Duo. Let's see if those are my kids. Where's my pedal board?
Firefox?
Yeah? Where did you put it?
It's on the same tab. No.
Oh, it's on the same tab. Wow.
No, I don't know.
You just type in modduo.local, and it's already connected with this USB cable to my computer, and it creates an internal network. And through that network, you can communicate with the Mod Duo. So it's now loading the pedal board. It's kind of a hefty pedal board, so I will start it with an empty one. Tomorrow I'm going to do a concert with the mod, and it will be a trial for the mod because I have managed to create pedal boards with which I really push the mod to the max. But it keeps up, so that's pretty nice. You can see it's already using like 60% CPU, but then I got a whole load of plugins that are active. So I'm going to start with a new pedal board. Sure. And I already showed a little bit about the I/O. Like this is your USB connection, with which you create the internal network, so you can connect to the mod. You also use this if you want to upgrade the mod with for the mass storage. Normally normally there's the auto update feature which does that for you. But if you're developing with the mod, or in my case I'm testing release candidates, then with the help of this cable I can flash new images on the mod. This is the USB connection that connects to a little hub here, and to this hub I've connected some MIDI controllers, this one and this one, the sequencer, and this is the power, so it's pretty obvious. And this is for the control chain. That's the foot switch that has been passed around. And in the future, it's already possible to hook up an Arduino board, and you can create your own controllers. So you can do pretty new tech stuff with it, with motion controllers and all of that kind of stuff. And it's got the MIDI in, MIDI out, and of course the inputs and outputs. And there's a separate headphone output. But I don't have a set of headphones now, so it's not useful showing that or demoing that. Okay, so this is your pedal board. As you can see, there's a lot of MIDI going on. So what's this pedal board? Well, you got your inputs, you got your outputs, and then you can lay out your plugins, and then you can connect them. So if you, for instance, if you want, I've already connected my guitar to the. Should produce something. Now it's still quiet because there's no connection coming from one side to the other. I've connected it to input 2. So if this is input 2, hardware capture 2. It says. If I connect it, you get the guitar. Yeah. It's simple, but it already shows what how the concept works. So if I want a reverb, for example, I want a nice reverb on this guitar. Here are the plugins, and let's say I want to tap this one. By default, it's switched on. So like this, you insert your reverb.
No,
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm trying to connect it to MIDI. That won't work. Would be nice if you could instantly convert a reverberated guitar to MIDI. So now you've got a nice reverb on your guitar, and here you can. There are all kinds of types. This reverb has all kinds of types of ambience, warehouse, marble chamber, whatever that may be, cathedral. And like a lot of other plugins, you can tweak your settings. So how much of the wet signal you want to push through, how much of the dry signal, what the decay of your reverb must be, all those kind of things. There's some filters on there, and but that's just your reverb. What if I want to add delay? I'll take the volley one. About this, so I've now added a delay, and so that's pretty nice and all. And the nice thing about this delay is that you can tell it that you want the tap tempo. Filipe already told about this. So I assigned it to foot switch 1, which starts to, it's now set to 120 BPM, so it's now flickering at 120 BPM. And if I want it slower, then I can slower it. So that's the tap tempo in this delay. But what if I want to store this preset? Or this is not a preset, this is the pedal board. What if I want to store it because I want to use it on stage? So I just say save as, and I say this is like 2017 demo. Okay. Being saved, so it's now saved. Over here, this is the icon for the pedal boards library. And what it does when you save a new pedal board, it will create a screenshot of that pedal board. You can see that it's still working. It's already done. And then if you want to load it, then you just click on it and it will load your pedal board, and it will recreate it for you. And it's exactly as we left it. So that's the concept of pedal boards. Inside a pedal board, you might want to have some part in your song where you do not want the delay. So say, okay, I want a new one. I rename this to full. Oh no, not before full. I cannot delete it. Doesn't matter. Rename it.
Enter.
Ah, yeah. Sorry. This is my starting preset. Now if I want to create a new one without the delay, so then I shut off the delay. Now there's no more delay. And I say save as, and I say no delay. So this is my no delay pedal board preset. And now I can assign them all to an actual actuator. The actuators are the buttons or the foot switches. And in other cases, this plugin, does this plugin allow me? No BDCCs, right? Or the presets. No. Okay, I want it to be foot switch 2. And now, if I press the foot switch, I can switch between no delay and delay. So that's within a pedal board. Big advantage of the preset concept is that it's very fast in switching. But switching pedal boards, especially when they're big pedal boards, can take too long. So when you're into a gig and you want to change a pedal board, or that might take too long, so then you can create different presets within an existing pedal board, and those presets can switch very rapidly, which allows you to change settings quickly. Another option, of course, is to not use presets and just assign enabling the delay or disabling it to a foot switch. That's possible too. Works the same, but if you have a complex pedal board and you want to switch on like 4 or 5 plugins at once, then you better use presets. So then there's also the concept of banks. You can group pedal boards into banks. So, as you can see, I'm not very much of a bank guy. I have all separate pedal boards and I haven't grouped them yet. But you can add a new bank. You can call it like. Oh, it's going.
You didn't save any pedal boards.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not the link to do
Thanks. And I want my lag pedal boards that I just created. Safe now, right?
No,
Just drag it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the middle.
As you can see, I don't use this feature very often, but there are people who are more into banks than I am. But it's just to show the concept of banks, because now if I unplug the mod and I press on the button, I have that's very small, but it says banks here, and this allows me to not use the computer to switch between pedal boards. And there I have my LAC 2017 bank, and then if I click on the LAC 2017 demo, then it loads that specific pedal board. So that's the concept of banks.
Yeah, one important remark is that on the banks you can, if you send a MIDI program change messages, you can change pedal boards within a bank, or you can configure the foot switches to do up and down. So what lots of people are using to do live on stage, you do the set list of songs in the bank and just go up and down on that, and that's it. It's very straightforward.
Just push one button from song to song, and you don't have to worry about anything.
Should I do?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Can you put the same pedal board in multiple banks?
Yes.
Yep.
And you can put the same pedal board many times in the same bank. So even if you go back to the same pedal board, you just repeat it. There's one artist that doesn't want to go up or down. He just wants to press the button in the order of the songs that he's playing. So if he has to use the same pedal board again, he just repeats it.
Makes sense. So, but then you still have the slow loading of pedal boards, right? You can only do that between songs.
Yeah, between songs. If you want to do quick changes inside the song, then you would use the presets, the pedal board presets.
There are some discussions going around that, how to sort this out. When you're using MIDI program changes, you don't have previsibility on what's going to come next. But when you're using the foot switches, you know that the next one is going to be either the next or the previous. So we want to do preloading.
Right.
When the bank is set up for foot switch navigation.
Yeah. And with the presets, I was also wondering, like you have the delay off in this example. Does it then also take it out of the CPU? Like, can you have a huge pedal board and just decide now I'm going to switch all of these off and then save the CPU?
That depends on the plugin also. How it was implemented. So that's more of a developer thing. I'm not. If you put plugins on your pedal board, some of them will consume more CPU if they're disabled than other ones.
Yeah.
And that has to do with the internal engine that they're using.
Right. We don't do any kind of graph optimization for that. We thought about it, but no.
Yeah.
But, okay, that was the use with a conventional instrument. You can also use it as a synth module, as a sound module. So I've got a little old battered MPK Mini, and let's see if it's already active. There's this little, you can in Web UI you can select MIDI ports, and there you can disable and enable your MIDI devices that are connected. As you can see, the MPK Mini is already enabled. The same goes for the Arturia Hitstep Pro. So I guess this is the MPK.
No, this is the DIN one.
Ah, this is the serial one, yeah. That's the one, those are the ones on the back. Connected here. And this is a very simple synthesizer, but it's very, it's very capable of creating a lot of different sounds. Let's create this. Select that one. popular, so let's add some glitter and glamour to it. One of my favorite plugins to do that is the Shiro Verb, which is basically shimmer reverb, which are very popular at the moment. There's even a company called Strymon who sells shimmer reverbs. One Trick Pony only does shimmer reverb, does it very well, but only that box already sets you back like €400. But here it's a plugin which a shimmer reverb is a reverb that adds an extra note or extra octave below or above it, and it also has this the shimmer, which is kind of a chorusy kind of flangy effect. And this adds an extra dimension to your sound. Of course, there are a lot of other plugins that you can add. Another one that I use a lot is a subsynth, which adds extra bass frequencies to your original sound. Hopefully, I don't blow the speakers now. To your sound, so that way you can use it as a sound module, because you can also these are connected via USB MIDI, but you could also connect some old MIDI gear to it.
Jeremy, that Shiro reverb, is that open source? That Shiro reverb is open source?
The Shiro one, it's one of the. It came from a Max patch. It's an extra Max Jam patch. We had an intern from Utrecht, and he's a Max patcher.
You want me to?
And so he's the one that started pushing the Max code to as a plugin for us. On the next month, we're releasing an official. We've been working with Cycling74 to have the official script to put this in a very simple workflow.
There is another shimmer reverbs open source that what's it called? There is one.
Okay, the last item I would like to show is that you can also use it as a drum machine. There are quite some nice drums there. I'm going to just do this one, which is kind of a jazzy kit. This one is sampled from a real drum kit. So that's possible too with the mod, and with a sequencer like this. I'm not going to program sequence right now because that will take a little bit too much time. You can create your own drum patterns and have them played by the mod. So, well, that's what I wanted to show from the user perspective about the module. So, thanks. And I'll leave it now up to Gian. Yeah.
I'll continue.
Okay.
And Franco, about the last item about downloading samples. So, taking a mod without too many plugins sold already, how much memory is available for sample libraries?
How much are we using today?
So wherever you have to store it. So if you download a drum kit like what Jeremy just showed now, it has to be stored in NAND flash, I guess?
Yes.
So how much of that would be available typically?
We have available for the system, it's about 3 and something gigabytes for the user data.
For user data, it has in total 3.4 gigas, and the RAM, it's 1 gigabyte of RAM. Some is used by the system, of course. For this specific, because they're based on fluid synths, they will be entire kit on RAM. so it cannot be a very, very big one. But if you, hopefully, I'll do some tests with Linux sampler as well sometime soon, which reads from the disk. But I guess if
Windows key.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's if that kit has 100 megabytes, which is already quite something, I guess you can load 6 or 7.
That's quick.
Yeah.
So that one does now what SFT file then.
It's an SF, yeah. It's the one that Glenn Carlton made, and well, it's the Red Zeppelin, I think.
There's the Red Zeppelin 4 and 5, like
Yeah.
5.
That one,
Yeah.
like Pro, yeah. It's an SF2 file
It's a sound form, yeah.
in the background of that thing. Yeah.
Is it possible to read an SF2 file from the USB port?
Not yet, but we're handling files inside the unit sometime soon. For now, it's a specific plugin. The one that we made for handling the SF2 files is open source. You can patch it to make it to load your own SF2 file. I can explain how even.
Even I could do it. So.
Yeah, yeah. Jeremy made his own plugin based on it. But eventually you'll be able to load all the files there, so the plugins can load the files that are inside the unit. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
So now, most important of everything, how can you tinker with it? And straight to the answer, you can create or modify plugins, and you can create your own hardware controllers now that we are releasing the control chain. To create and modify the plugins, you need these two tools, the plugin builder and the mod SDK.
Well, plugin builder is the basic tool that you can use to compile your own code to run on the Duo the simplest way. You can compile your own cross-compiler and some libraries as well, but because we have this tool provides you a system that matches exactly what's inside the unit. You have all the libraries that are inside there, and the flags are exactly the same. The compiler is exactly the same, so whatever binary the compiler outputs, you're sure that it runs optimized as much as possible inside the unit. And if you run your own cross-compiler, the libraries might be newer, or you have a new libc or something that might have some incompatibilities, so we have our own cross-compiler and libraries and everything set up in the mod plugin builder, which also uses buildroot, the same system. It's basically like a mini version of our system to be able to compile their own code or plugins or whatever you want to run in there. Then the mod SDK, which is not exactly the best name for now. It's a way to maybe. Do you have a screenshot of the mod SDK?
I don't think so. You have it installed?
I have mod SDK installed, yeah.
Can you run it?
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's basically a wizard to create your own pedalboard icon. Those that appear on the pedalboards, the plugins themselves, we create a wizard that allow you to. But we're going to see soon. Just because everything here is HTML, and not everyone likes to do HTML for good reasons.
So the SDK, once you have a working LV2 plugin, if you check here, you see that, let's go back to the interface. We have some plugins that, oops. So sometimes you see this this TunaCam. This is when you have an LV2 plugin that a mod SDK interface was not done for it. You can still use the plugin. The only thing is that you don't have the beautiful icon for it, etc., but it will work. And if you click on the settings, you get all the parameters. Now, if you want to do a fancy interface, not so fancy, but a bit. So we have a wizard for it, and we have some templates, lots of different buttons, and so like a combo, you can make it as a. Okay. Japanese one, select the knobs, things like that. This is all open source, and it's all in the GitHub repositories. This is people that are releasing new plugins are tweaking those interfaces. Robin has been doing this a lot lately. But this is, at least gives you a starting point to have a structure for an interface, so it's very cool.
Yeah, that way you don't have to create the HTML from scratch. And you already have, like, the code being documentation itself.
Windows button 3.
F3. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you get the idea. From here as well, there's also a publish button. So you have a bundle that's already cross-compiled for the mod. You click one button and it just copies the file to the mod, and it sends a message to say rescan this plugin, so the new plugin appears there. So it's hassle-free.
To create hardware controllers, together with the foot switch, we released the Arduino, the Shield. The idea behind this is that we want to do lots of different controllers, but we don't have an idea of what to do. We know that the foot switch is necessary, we know that the expression pedal is necessary also, but we don't know where to go next. So what we did was to release a, let me show you here on the browser. So this is the Arduino Shield. This is the Arduino Shield. You just plug it in the Arduino. It comes as a breadboard, so you can assemble the circuits inside itself. And we have a library to the Arduino IDE that tries to make it simpler to get the Arduino variables and turn them into LV2 variables for you to become a controller just like the ones that we have. We are now coming into a content-based system. So every month we are going to publish a case of an Arduino that you can do like some Arduino hack, and people can use it as an example. The first one that came out, this is an adapter for the existing expression pedals. Like the Zoom one, etc. You can buy a Zoom one for 35 bucks. And then with a circuit like that, you get you turn this into a control chain device, and then it appears on your. It appears as a. Where is it? Oh, here. It appears as another controller on the controller pool. And the idea is that people create new and new controllers with lots of sensors. Until the end of the year, we want to have one with a light sensor, one with the gyroscope, and etc. One per month, we release a case like this.
The next one is just to explain a little bit about the mod plugin builder, which is quite simple. You clone the repository, then you run the bootstrap, which downloads build root, downloads the cross compiler, and compiles the cross compiler, and then the entire system and the entire libraries inside your own computer. It takes around 1 or 2 hours. Maybe if the CPU is slow, then it takes more, but it should take around 3 gigabytes of space on your hard disk. And with this, you get the entire setup to build whatever binaries you want for the unit. We created a file there that you can import into your bash terminal. It sets the C flags, the compiler, the LD flags, the path, and etc. Everything needed. If you have a plugin or a makefile or a CMake project or WAF, something like that that respects cross compilation, and everything just works. Just type make, and the plugin is built for the tool. After this, you can either use the SDK, go there, export LV2 path so it shows that specific folder, then you press the button and it sends the plugin to the mod. You can also use the curl commands, but it's a bit more tricky. It's not here because, yeah, basically you send the package to the web address that the mod is expecting, and it does everything on command line as well. That's also possible. Yeah, if you have any questions, you just ask me, because I hope this is as simple as possible, because you only need to compile the GCC, then GCC itself compiles the other stuff. Don't actually need that much. Bash, GC, self-compile another compiler, probably Ruby and Python, and that's it. Yeah. And for the roadmap, what we want to do next, for 1.4, I was saying we're focusing on the control chain. Next is going to be having the tempo information provided to the plugins, and to make sure that everything is in sync, because right now we have step sequencers in there, and we have, well, they're not in sync because they don't receive tempo information for now. So that's going to be coming up next, and also a way to sync the mod from the outside and sync the mod to the outside. One example is Ableton Link, so you can receive and send and be in sync with other devices on the network. Also sends MIDI clock out, stuff like that, so the mod connects to other devices and everything is in sync, because you want things to be in sync. And also the advanced settings, because sometimes we have a few things that are kind of hidden away. We want to expose all the options possible. One option, for example, that people have been requesting is that when you enable the tuner, by default it mutes the inputs, so it only goes to the tuner. Right now you will have the option to let the audio go through. Some people want that. For 1.6, a target will be to support LV2 atoms, communication between the host and the browser. This is this first step to allow the file support, because the file needs to go through atoms. And with that we also can do spectrum analyzing. I know Robin has made some tests quite neat. Spectrum analyzer inside the browser that shows what's going on in mods, because why not, you can do that. And the rest is going on parallel, not for a specific version yet. Maybe Jim?
Yeah, the things that Filipe is talking here are basically software, so it depends on, it's mostly dictated by our internal efforts. Now, as I told, we are doing the Max Gen integration, and this is being done together with Cycling 74. This is coming out next month. Depending on what happens on the production, maybe we push it 1 month later, but let's see. External foot switch, also now in July. And I put fall, and not a month because we don't know exactly, but a commercial plugin store, and still this year the expression pedal, same thing, the beta phase. We are redesigning, we had one for the Quadra, but I'm totally redesigning it, so it's going to take a bit of time. We want to make a very proper one. On the commercial plugin store, this is the interesting thing about Max, and actually here about the Linux community. We want to have it as populated as we can. One of the things that people rave a lot about the Duo is how some of the plugins are very unique. And we want, by the end of the year, have a plugin store that it's loaded with these unique plugins. So now what we're doing is doing this call for the plugin designers. It can be the coders, can be the patchers, whomever, but we're saying, okay, we are providing a marketplace, and let's come with us, let's build this with us. It's kind of a next phase for us. Now I leave you guys with Dwek. It's our newest addition to the team. Dwek was with us in Karlsruhe, but was not part of the team, and now Dwek is doing the community management.
Yeah, you probably noticed that we're trying to incorporate the community as much as we can in our actions, and what we try to do is to understand the needs and get the feedback and establish the proper communication channels to get things moving forward as swiftly as we can. So, for instance, with the hardware, with the expression pedal, we already have some features that we're collecting from people that have, like naturally started telling us what they want to have on the expression pedal, and then we're going to produce it and have the beta tests. We're also coming up with a type of suggestion board box and a bug report, so that we can have a proper classification, like a tree, to classify the different requests and the different bugs that we have in a type of a form, and then process all the backlog that we have from the forum as well. And that way we can have a quicker way of adding stuff to our roadmap. And this, for instance, is something that we're trying to implement for the plugin workflow because we have a big backlog of plugins that are not on the stable, visible part of the plugin store. We have 200 there, more than 200, and we have over, I don't know, 400, 500 in the LV2 plugins that are waiting to be vetted and to enter this part of the store.
Yeah, just a remark. These are people call them the unstable, but it's not fair to use that word, okay? No, it's just that they don't have an interface, and we didn't put them on the main one.
Some of them might crash the mod sometimes or whatever, but most of them are really very good. And some people that already, because Falk doesn't give the key to the unstable repository to anyone, you know. So people have to find their way there, and once they find it, they start trying it out, and they manage to use them, and they're really great. I saw a bunch of those on their mod. So right now, everything is related to Falk. Falk has to handle everything. He has to crash test the plugins. He has to do the interface if it's not properly done. He has to test it and curate and do everything. So he's only one man. He's a great man, but he's still only one man. So what we want to do for the next part is to have more involvement of the LV2 community to create some sort of documentation. We already have some. We already have most of it. And then the developer posts the project link on the forum. We have tools to validate the plugin. Eventually we can even have some sort of automated cloud tool to validate the plugin. Then we have a project description and we publish it. It goes to the unstable repository. And then we already have a group of plugin testers, and we have to come up with the testing period part to really know what needs to be done, and then the curating period, the curating process to decide whether or not, you know, how we're going to evaluate when and where it's going to go in the plugin store, and then goes to the stable. So this is something that we're trying to make so that the community is more involved and all the processes become more dynamic. Something else in terms of user experience is the setup wizard, because we have different profiles of users. Right now we're really in the, you know, the geeky users, the people that are hardcore, you know, computer wizards and musicians at the same time. But people that aren't in that sometimes have some obstacles in using the mod. So we're trying to get it as user-friendly out of the box. So with the setup wizard, we can define the user profile, configure the mod based on that profile, depending on the instrument, depending on the genres, you know, the music types that the person wants to play, how computer savvy the person is. And then we can also download pedalboard banks straight to the mod, so that the person already can have the proper sounds that they want, instead of having to do all that, you know, researching of the tone, etc. So using the community pedal boards to feed the new users right straight off the box, and then maybe have a GUI tutorial if people, you know, don't have Jeremy at their disposal to show them how it works. So they can have their own GUI tutorial. Then the pedal board sharing is also like right now we have a feed, and it's not especially the best way to go around, you know, a bunch of pedal boards. And if people are going to be encouraged to share their pedal boards, we need to have a better system. So we want to overhaul that pedal boards page. We want to have full banks being shared, so that you can have like your rock bank or your 70s rock bank and your 80s rock bank or whatever, and then you can share and you upload and download banks. Then also have an improved search engine with filters and tags. This is something that our users, this is mostly the result of inquiries, you know, and forms we've sent out to users and the community giving us the feedback. Then a rating system, and also like a system to have a collaborative pedal board creation. so that we can have more discussions and people can say, okay, I like your tone, but have you tried it with this distortion? And then you have another version of the same, and maybe have a sort of forking of the pedal boards and have pedal board projects being shared and being done, you know, creatively and collaboratively. That's it.
Thank you, guys. Questions? Yes?
Yeah, I guess related to the forking pedal boards thing, is it a text file and does it, like, can you make small changes to it without changing the whole thing, like in PD, for example?
That's not even defined yet.
Right.
Just an idea, because it's very great, the idea. So it's something we want to do for sure. Right now the pedal boards are actually plugins themselves, because we're reusing the engine format. The idea is to later on be able to load the pedal board inside the actual pedal board. Yeah, it's
alright, pedal boards inside pedal board.
Yeah, something for the future, not for now.
Well, the thing about the forking is that it's very nice to understand what's the genealogy of a pedal board, just like a GitHub project.
Exactly, yeah.
That we fork it and also to have an idea on the history of everything. But we have to understand if this is more of a feature or if we want to preserve the actual ownership and copyright. And again, I go back to the open source committee. These are the kinds of discussion we want to have to the committee. Okay, what should we be protecting here, or what people don't care? And I know that people are very not fun, but they are very they mind about the things that they create. So today, what we do on the pedal boards, you know, you can just share a pedal board even without a name. This is not nice.
The survey that we did, because we think that people aren't sharing their pedal boards, and they actually told us that they aren't. And some people do, some people don't. And most people are perfectionists, and most people sometimes feel a little bit, they don't want to share it to the whole world. So sometimes they might want to send it to the cloud, or share it with a friend, but not share it on a public feed. So the type of privacy setting that you can put on the pedal board you'll start sharing, and the project that you'll start creating is also something that will be very important.
And if we think about selling pedal boards, it gets even more complicated.
Yeah.
Just a quick question on the drum section, the samples. Are these stored compressed and then expanded when they're needed, or are they actually stored, say, as WAV files?
They are sound fonts, so they are mostly WAV files. From what I know, you can use FLAC as well in sound fonts, but I'm not really sure if you can use something else.
Well, I was just thinking that if there's where you've got memory limitations, if you can store them as in a compressed form, maybe.
Well, if you store in compressed files, you have to decompress them to the RAM. So there's a trade-off here. Like you save some space on the disk, but you lose some space on the RAM because you have to load the entire kit. Otherwise, you have to stream from compressed files, which takes quite some time. We have more space on the disk than on the RAM, so I think it's better to have it as WAV.
Yeah, I have hundreds of plugins installed, and I'm still only using 500 megabytes with
You're not trying.
Yeah, the plugins are not that big. Sometimes if it's just DSP, the plugin can be 50K or something. If they have the interface with the PNGs and resources, maybe it gets to 10 megabytes, something like that. Or maybe 50 if you have something very big. But if you divide 3 gigabytes across 50 megabytes, you can have a bunch of stuff there. And the actual pedal boards are text files. So you have, I imagine if you have 500 plugins and 1,000 pedal boards, you still have 2 gigabytes free, probably. It's more than enough space there.
I was wondering, I guess among the available plugins, there's some of the well-known old ones, like I saw Steve Harris plugin set, perhaps tab plugins, carve plugins, whatever.
Yeah, we did the port of tab in tab 12v2 ourselves.
Okay.
And
one question yet. Okay, sorry, I won't quite finish.
Yeah.
The question was, I guess for some of these, they might still have issues with abrupt parameter changes, on-off clicks, zipper noises. So are you also applying some patches to fix that? And if so, are you feeding this back to the owner of the plugin set?
For the ones that we migrate to 12v2, no.
Yeah, because
We don't push them back to LATSPA.
because some of the plugins the author is not interested on doing LV2 versions. So
Also,
we're
you
keeping
don't
those
get
in.
the full FWH set. You get like a select set of plugins from that only which are going to work. It's not like the whole collection, but only select.
Because on the cap and tab plugins, we separate all the plugins in a specific bundle, and only specific bundles go to the stable store. There are specific plugins on the cap and tab that are not on the stable store because we know they are not very stable. And you can install only one plugin usually on those collections. There are some plugin collections like the MIDI filters, which if you install one, you get 28. But they're all nice, so
Yeah.
they don't crash as far as I know. So that's fine.
You've mentioned a lot about involving the community and having your development pipeline for plugins. You also mentioned about installing development builds onto the hardware. Do you get people involved on the community side in the development of the operating system and all that stuff, or wait, is there a strong divide between developing the software that runs the plugins and developing the plugins themselves, or do people get involved with what's actually running on the mod as the plugin host?
What we are understanding is that most of the people, they don't want to care about what's inside. Okay, the good example, because here everybody speaks Linux here.
Yeah.
So it's very straightforward to think, oh, we just set up an environment. But as soon as we started working with Cycling, for example, 75% of their users are Mac users.
Yeah.
And we even tried a Docker approach.
Yeah.
So we had the Docker image and just handled it. But even that, it was too cumbersome for them. So what we did for them, and this is what we're releasing, there is a call now on the online servers, and you just submit the code, and it spits back the binary for you. So you don't have to worry about that. This for us is the ideal workflow for the big majority of people.
Okay.
Because
And
if you try to cross-compile on Mac for generating Linux binaries on Mac, it's a very big mess. And then if you try to do it on Windows, it's even more messy.
Sure. I guess it came from the idea that you described it as a computer for doing audio, but at the moment it's a pedal board, which is amazing and the best thing I've ever seen. But it's not quite a computer in the same way, if that makes sense. Like it's not totally general purpose. I can't install my own operating system.
You could.
You can.
You can, but then you're on your own.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just wondering where your boundaries were and what different things people were tinkering with.
Yes.
yeah, like the OS is open.
Okay.
You can even try to generate your own, but it's far from being our target.
Yeah, no,
my current target today is to say, okay, how do I involve the biggest number of developers?
No, and I think that's
we
really
are talking audio developers.
Yeah, so this is the first time I've ever heard about this, and I'm just trying to work out how the project's organized as well.
Okay,
so it's really cool.
One thing you should know is that you have SSH access to it. So you can SSH, do whatever stuff you want. You can remount the system partition and read writes and delete everything if you want. Then the system does not.
I like that kind of power.
Yeah, no, first thing, we have a full stack OS inside.
Yeah.
So it's not strip it down. No, it's a full stack OS. Second thing, today when we started thinking on this mod thing, it was always about the pedal board builder.
Yeah.
Okay? So
Yeah.
This is the product.
Yeah.
But today I see it as an application.
Yeah.
And we want to have further applications for it.
Yeah.
And not only the pedal board builder.
Because that's kind of more the angle that I'd be interested in interacting with it in.
Exactly, for sure. And as I told, we had some cards on the table for licensing the software.
Yeah.
And there are lots of companies, because we started this so early on, In 2010 we were doing this, and now there is this trend back of making autonomous devices, like taking the computer out of the.
Yeah.
But we already have the software generator, the OS, it's our own iOS and etc.
Yeah.
So people are really interested, like I don't know, Native or Ableton, these companies that are using the computer. For them, it's very valuable to say, okay, I have another platform, and I can take over the entire platform.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine that you would boot it up, and you say, okay, I want to use it as the pedalboard builder.
Yeah.
So, okay, now we have the pedalboard builder. Then you reboot it as the, I don't know, the native guitar rig.
Yeah.
And then, so instead of seeing that patcher that you see, you will have the guitar rig interface, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or the amplitude. We have this offer from IT Multimedia, for example.
Cool.
To, okay, I want to have an amplitude box.
Yeah.
And that's it. Nothing else, no open, nothing. That's it. So and then this brings the idea of, okay, it's a computer, because we musicians, we are only 1% of the population. So when Dell is doing this computer, it's not thinking of us, it's thinking of the people who are sending emails and etc. So okay, let's think of another computer that you take to the stage. And this is, just like you have the desktops and the laptops and etc., this is one form factor. You could have other form factors, I don't know, rack unit or Euro rack.
Yeah, nice.
So
that's
we're thinking on that, but the idea, it's a computer. It's not an effects unit.
Yeah, awesome.
And just in case you're wondering, there's no X11 in there. There's no display server at all.
Yeah.
It only runs the web server, which is a Tornado-based application. So it sends the data. There's never a graphical interface ever inside the device.
That's awesome. Cool. Thank you.
If you want to see it, we can show.
Yeah. I won't take any more of everyone's time with my curiosity.
Another question?
Questions?
Yeah, you mentioned you have the 3 partitions and only one is read-write. Why do you need a restore partition if you're never gonna write on the OS partition anyway?
The restore partition is used for upgrades.
For upgrades, right?
Yeah, you have the restore partition first. Initially, the first thing that usually never gets broken.
It's bogus. It's bogus.
Because if you want to, say, upgrade the software, you have to remove the system partition and reinstall things. And if you unplug the power while it's reinstalling, then you lose everything.
Yeah.
So that when you do that, the system when it boots, it tries to boot to the system partition. If the system partition is broken, some files are missing or something, then it boots you the recovery.
Right.
That's a fail-safe mechanism, so that people don't, because we know people are going to do things like that.
Bob, you were like a nice spider in the web for reviewing the plugins. So kind of, I guess, a bottleneck. They're all LP2 plugins, right?
Yeah.
Would it be possible to automate part of the reviewing process for those things?
If you have
Do what?
Yes.
Yeah, just basically automate test the LP2 plugins in a
The
way.
thing is that even if you completely test one plugin, you'll test it on your own computer or an Intel architecture. We're going to compile it on ARM, and some code just fails for weird reasons sometimes. You have to have a unit yourself and test it live on the unit.
Right.
So some code does not even
still run a
compile.
test against it, obviously, against the unit itself.
Yeah. Or some thing, because the unit you can, no, it has to be the unit. You could take like a same CPU, but then it's not exactly the same system. No, not good. No?
Kind of related question. Are you using this program for basically fuzz testing LV2s and basically sending it MENS and sending it all kinds of
We're not doing that now exactly, but just stress testing the program and leave it running and stuff like that. We have the metadata testing, which is because usually you get errors, crazy errors from that. Like there's the sort validation, which is the actual structure of the turtle files to make sure the syntax is correct. Then there's the validation of the LV2 data, like because you can say the minimum is higher than the maximum, which is valid syntax, but it's not actually, it's not something that you do. So there's an additional layer of testing for that. And stuff like the preset does not have a name, or one project exists but the file is missing or something. We have that's already done on the cloud for all plugins. Then of course we have to do some of those testings. The tools already exist. We just have to make a way to run everything automated on the clouds. Make the clouds simulate. I don't know. It has to run our binaries on cloud. We'll handle it soon. Okay.
More questions?
You described a bit interaction between sidechain and your system. So basically, with Gen, they are exporting the C++ file, which gets
yes, and we are releasing a set of scripts that get this prepares it, parses it, send it to the servers, to our servers, and this is split back an LV2 bundle for you.
Yeah, in the Max Gen, in the menus you have an option to export as code, the Gen object. The Cycling74 did a Juice plugin thing that gets that code and exports to the Juice plugin, so you get a lot of formats. But Juice is not the best thing from embedded devices, I think. And also the parameters are always 0 to 1, which is not that nice as a visual representation. So what we did, we took that base code and we made it work with almost raw LV2. So it's at bare bones as lightweight as possible, and yeah, and then we made the scripts that push the thing to the cloud and compile everything.
So we could imagine doing something similar with Faust Gen, which is our Faust embedded. You know, we have something similar to Gen, which is a Faust compiler inside Max as an external plugin. So we could imagine to have this Faust Gen export the C++ file and using some kind of adapted script and do the similar.
Is there already Faust LV2?
Yeah, Faust plus LV2.
Yeah,
actually, I'd say that 1/4 of the library of plugins is made in Faust.
Okay, so we
could directly use guitars are using Faust already.
Guitars, totally in Faust. Also the ones from Piotr, it's all Faust.
Even simpler.
Yeah, it's the same situation as you, I guess, because we also have a wrapper made with Juice that gets the Faust C++ codes imported. And Cycling74 did the same thing, but because I don't like Juice too much, I did it in DPF. And I made some changes with DPF to make it work as fast as possible there. And then it exports the metadata and you have the plugin. And, yeah,
yes,
one more?
Then kind of maybe a beginner question, but like what is the difference? I always thought a newer kernel gets you newer drivers and maybe some bug fixes. I don't know what.
Usually yes, but
the drivers already work. So
imagine the company wants to make a device, it forks the current kernel to make their own changes, but then the kernel gets updated, and they don't care. They never update. They continue to make lots of changes. So the kernel is kind of unrecognizable from the main one.
It's like Android.
The company is the one that made for Android. It was before the device tree thing on the kernel. So, I mean, it's very tricky to update. Most things we know are already working, but the most important one, which is the flash memory, we are not sure if that works or not. Because there's also the bootloader that also needs to speak with the flash memory. We'll need to make some tests.
But you're kind of answering the question, why is it hard to update? That's kind of clear, but why would you want to update? Well, what does a new kernel bring you?
Okay.
Well, for one, you get better support for everything.
But your drivers are already, your hardware is already supported. So
you don't know the number of hacks that are inside the device.
Okay, yeah.
We want to get rid of all those hacks.
They can't deal with their existing product.
Right.
Yeah, there's also the thing, for example, one example is Bluetooth MIDI, which needs the new kernel to work. There's some devices that only work on the new kernel, and if we need something specific done on the kernel level, and we need to pay someone as an external developer to do it, the developer would just refuse to work on that kernel. Because
I've heard,
yeah. So better go to mainline, and then with mainline we get constant updates. We just have to go on mainline. And then if something else comes along that is very neat, very fancy, maybe BDHD someday, then the kernel gets it, and then we get it as well by consequence. So.
BDHD, is that a thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Someday, I don't know, it will happen.
I thought that was Oscar, but no.
I don't know details. But I know that's at least the name, the proposed name.
No, it is.
It
exists. It's pretty fully specified already.
Yeah, just not out.
It's not widely implemented.
Okay. There's also the MPE, which does different things. The Rolly boards do their own extensions to MIDI to allow separate voices, etc. But that goes through not on MIDI. Yeah. Any more questions? No?
So don't miss Jeremy's show tomorrow at the end of the concert time in the evening to listen to everything the mod can do.
Okay. One man band, right?